Welcome to another episode of the Me and ADHD podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking to my perky partner in crime, George, about her journey and why she feels it's important to find the answers. I call her my perky partner in crime because we co-host on the podcast called the Perky Pod Show. Just putting that out there. So welcome,
So if you want to
George.
join, get in touch.
Yeah, let's not go too over it. Right.
Oh,
How are we doing, George? You all right?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah,
Excellent,
raring to
excellent.
go.
Well, thank you for coming on my show,
You're very welcome,
where,
Darren.
I get to answer,
More
ask the
people should.
questions.
More people should be coming on your show.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you. Right, okay. George, you've, like many, many, many people out there, are still looking for the answers to, I guess, your life, um, and on waiting lists to get assessed and everything. So, how long have you been looking for the answers, and how long have these struggles been going on, and all the things you've been dealing with?
Well, I've always struggled. Um, at school, friends, probably the norm for a lot of neurodivergent people, to be fair.
Yeah.
Um, but what got me to having the assessment was I had a bit of a crisis and I couldn't cope. I just could not cope. I was so overwhelmed. I felt so ill. I was so unregulated. And when I spoke to my doctor and I said to him about having autism ADHD in my family, um, he immediately said, I'm going to send you for the assessment.
Okay.
Um, and when I say I was struggling in a crisis, I really, I cannot deal with. I'm not good in a crisis at all. It takes me a long time to get myself regulated, and for months and months and months, um, when this happened a few years ago, um, I was having a go at everybody. I wasn't a nice person, to be honest.
Right.
Nobody would really want to talk to me because I was just having a go at everybody. I couldn't help it. My brain was going like the speed of light. It was just manic. And anyway, so my doctor put me on antidepressants, which I've been on them probably most of my life, to be honest.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and they have calmed the mood swings that I were having. I say mood swings because that's what it was like. So it's calmed my mood, but I have trouble sleeping. uh, You know, so I have everything else still apart from the mood swings. They're kind of
Okay.
at bay. So it's really, when you're not diagnosed, it's so difficult to try and understand what is going on with you and how you can actually help yourself. Because you have to learn strategies to cope, and it's not as easy as people think.
Yeah.
As you know, yourself before you
Yeah.
was
Absolutely.
diagnosed. So
So,
it's tough. It is tough.
yeah. No. Absolutely. It's very hard to explain to people who really don't know. They haven't been there.
Mm,
And to find the words to do that, it is a struggle, especially nowadays
mhm.
when a lot of people kind of, you know, just say it's, the whole, oh, it's just a fad. Yeah, it's hard to find the words because people just don't get it. Um,
No.
and it's hard for us as well when we haven't got the answers because we have to deal with it. We have to do something with it, but we don't get it. But
Mm,
we have no option but to deal with it in one way or another. So,
yeah.
I mean, what sort of things were you feeling? When you said you were getting overwhelmed and you're getting short and angry with
Um,
people.
it felt like honestly, my brain felt like it when I was getting angry, and I've always been a kind of angry person all my life. It's quite bizarre, but
Yeah.
that sort of faded out um, until I had this crisis. Then it all just kind of. But my brain felt like it was going to explode. That's how it felt because I could not calm my brain down in any way. I just didn't know what to do, and I was crying, and the more upset I was getting, the worse it was getting.
Yeah.
So, um, so like I say, since I've been on antidepressants, that has calmed it down. But I mean, honestly, people did not want to talk to me. They were saying the wrong thing to me, and that was it. I was blowing up all the time, all the time. But I just couldn't regulate my emotions, and I get quite um once I get overwhelmed, it takes me a long time to bring myself back down to earth.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to regulate myself. So to
Is
find those answers, strategies, whatever, is hard because you don't know what it is that you're actually dealing with,
yeah.
and that's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. You can only sort of like, I guess, deal with the symptoms, the things that are showing, the things that you feel, but without knowing
Yeah.
exactly what's going on and
Mm.
why is, it's very hard to, yeah.
I mean, now I have trouble sleeping. I can go 4 nights with, and I just have actually just had 3 or 4 nights of not getting to sleep until it's light again, which is like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And then last night was the first night that I had a good night's sleep. So my brain is overstimulated.
Yeah.
I did speak to a GP the other day, and he said it sounds like you're hyper focused. Your brain is so hyper focused that it won't switch off.
Yeah.
So
You think about the
um,
same thing all the time.
yes, yeah, and I try and. I mean, last night I put my phone down, didn't go back on it, um, and that actually helped. So I'm not going to be on my phone until like 11, 12 o'clock at night because that
Yeah.
um, stimulates the brain, and then you can't sleep. So, and I've been in the garden a lot as well. So, and that's quite therapeutic.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I'm trying to put other things in place to help me just feel a bit more relaxed.
No, that's good.
You've got to find these things. You've got to,
Yeah,
otherwise I'm going to
because
become
you
an
can't.
insomniac.
Yeah, you
And
can't go
then,
life with hardly any sleep. You need to get that rest
yeah,
somehow.
yeah, yeah. But last night, I think until my cat jumped on me this morning, I think I had probably about 8 hours sleep. Yes,
Okay, that's
so that was good.
excellent. So you had 8 hours sleep last night, or 8 hours sleep in total over the last 3 or 4 days?
Last night I had
Okay,
full 8 hours sleep, and
okay.
it was
Oh, that's good.
lovely. Yeah, but when I woke up, I felt quite delirious. I think it's because I hadn't had sleep, and then suddenly I'd had that sleep, and I didn't know where I was when I woke up. It was kind of like my brain was all in a muddle after I'd actually had that sleep. So
Shock to the system.
yeah, I think it is. Yeah, yeah. It's oh, it's just it is hard. It really is. People don't understand. They can give their comments or whatever, but unless you're in that situation, you
Yeah.
can't possibly understand it.
How do you on your day-to-day, um, jobs, tasks, things like that, how do you get on with those? Is it still your mind's going all over the place? Is there other
Um,
things that get in your way?
I'm fine at work because I work on my own, and um, I know I've got to get it done. Um, so then I become hyper focused on what it is that I've got to do. But then as soon as
Yeah.
I walk out the door and I'm back home, I'm like, "Well, just have a look at my phone," and it's kind of like a hyperfixation on my phone, and then I'll probably be on that for hours. It's kind of like trying to break that that cycle
Yeah.
of that pattern of what you do, and try and put other things in place so that you can get your brain into some kind of normality rather than hyperfixating on just one thing all the time, which for me was Instagram. I've been at it for
Yeah.
2 years, just constant, constant. And I used to be on it all night, all day, no sleep. It was mad. It was absolutely crazy,
Yeah. You used to do a
honestly.
lot of you used to do a lot of live streams, a lot of posts and everything.
Yeah, I can't do the I used to do a lot of live streams, but my brain couldn't handle it. So anybody that's watched them will see that I used to go vacant on them. And then the people that I was on with would be like, George, are you with us? And I'd be like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. But these were like 2 hours at a time.
Yeah.
And that's way too much for anybody
That's
because your brain can't handle. And everybody talking at once, you know, it doesn't. It doesn't work for me. I can't have all these people talking at once. It just
yeah.
doesn't. It does something to my brain. I can't. I
It,
can't explain it.
it's
It's just
yeah.
overwhelming.
It is. It's one of those contradictions in ADHD, I guess, where you, as a like myself, as an ADHD, if I want someone to talk to me or explain something to me or let me know something, just short bullet points.
Mm,
Thank you. That's
mm,
great. I don't have to concentrate too hard or for too long. All makes sense. Great. But
mm,
when you fluff it up with all other information, I
mm.
just can't, concentrate. And then the real thing that they've asked me to do gets lost in all the other fluff that goes around.
Yeah,
But when
yeah.
I explain something, I have to fluff it up. I have to give all the information,
That's it. Yeah.
which is really weird.
I
But
have to
yeah,
know
lots of
everything.
people. Yeah,
I have to know everything. If someone was showing me or wanted me to do something in my workplace, I'd be like, okay, can you show me? And
yeah,
then I'd have to know the ins and outs. Uh, I'd have to know everything, everything to be able to do that. Don't just give me snippets because it
it's
doesn't work.
yeah. You need to know
It,
the I guess all the other questions, the little questions around it.
mm,
Okay, fine. That's what I got to do. One,
mm,
why, when, how,
yeah.
what can I use? You
What
can't
if it
have it all
goes
grey.
wrong?
It just needs to be black and white, but you need enough of that information to put it
Yeah.
together.
But what if it goes wrong? What do I
Yeah.
do then? Who do I call? Who do and I go through this and they're like, bloody hell.
Yeah.
But it's a need to know. I have to know. Otherwise it doesn't sit right in my brain. It just doesn't. It doesn't. No.
Yes,
And
but
interrupting is a classic one for me, as you know. I'm constantly talking and interrupting, and I can't help it. It's kind of like I have that need to say it before I forget it.
yeah, yeah.
It's bizarre, bizarre.
It is a weird situation.
Mm,
Um, I used to hate it. I used to hate people interrupting me, and not allowing me to speak because I needed
mm,
to interrupt. But my I guess my persona, my psyche doesn't allow me to be that in your face.
mm,
Um, but I want to talk, and if someone doesn't allow me to talk, I used to get so frustrated. There's been a couple of times that I've blown up about it. Why won't you let me speak? You know,
mm. Is that
and
when you had a go at
it's
me?
yeah. No, it's just, shut up, George.
Yeah.
Uh,
You let me talk.
yeah.
No.
But it is really difficult. But for me, knowing why now all makes more sense. So although I still don't enjoy those moments, I understand it and I tolerate it a lot more and a lot better. There's a
mm,
little thing on my shoulder now saying, "It's cool. It's okay. Your 2
mm,
ADHD is talking. This is gonna
mm.
happen. It's all okay." Um, and that's what I hold on to.
My workplace is pretty good because they know that I can't be around loads of people. Um, if there's too many people, that my brain's not going to be able to cope with the conversation because I'm better
Yeah.
at sort of one to one. Or I mean, I could have four on a podcast because everybody's kind of taking their turn. They're not. It's not everybody talking at once, kind of thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, my workplace is pretty good. They do um, put sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Reasonable adjustments in place for
Yeah.
me. So yeah, I have to
That
hand it
that's
to
that can
them.
make a massive difference.
It's probably because I was having a go at them all, and but they understood it.
Yeah.
They were good. So yeah, so I'm lucky like that. But and to be honest, I try not to get involved with a crowd of people talking and stuff like that. I know what's good for me, what's not good for me in that sense.
That's good. That's half the
Yeah.
battle. That's half the
Mm.
battle.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it's good that they do those reasonable adjustments at work, because that can make a
Mm.
massive difference to anybody who needs adjustments, ADHD or not. But
Mm.
it can make a difference between either staying in that job and enjoying it, or leaving because you can't cope.
Well,
Um,
I mean, my boss did say to me when I started feeling better, I did say, "Look, I'm really sorry for how I was," and they did say to me, "George, you wasn't feeling well, So they acknowledged the fact that I wasn't well, and um, and they've supported me 100%. So I couldn't wish for better people, really.
yeah, that's brilliant. That's
Mm.
brilliant.
Yeah, and it's the first workplace, to be honest, that have taken the time to um, put in reasonable adjustments, totally understand me, uh, take me in the office, have a chat, whatever. All my other employers have been absolute trash. They have.
Yeah,
They just don't care. And that makes it even worse. When you're in a
yeah,
workplace and no one's listening to you, or they think you're being a bit shitty and you're not meaning to, it's just how you are. They don't want to know. They just think you're being funny, and that's it. They don't take the time
yeah.
to try and understand the problem. They don't want to know. So this is the first place that and I've worked at this place twice now. So yeah.
That's good. That's good, because
Mm,
not a lot of people have that.
no.
So that's good that you do. Well
Mm.
done to your job.
Yes. Yes. Well, going back to when I wasn't well and spoke to a doctor and that, I did actually speak to a mental health nurse as well.
Okay.
And she did say to me, the ADHD route is the right route for you.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was quite positive for me.
Okay. So there's a bit of a push in a direction then, because you've had an ASD assessment as well.
Yeah, I had that, I think it was about a month ago,
Yeah.
where I have um, a lot of autistic traits. Um, but at this moment in time, until I've had the ADHD assessment at the
Yeah.
same place, um, I cannot be classed as having a disorder, autism disorder. Um, so they've left it at having a lot of autistic
Traits.
traits.
But they want to
So
do the ADHD to, I guess, try and
it could be it could
fit
be
more of the get
combined.
all more information together to.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Okay.
So we can't. It's inconclusive because you need to have the ADHD assessment so that we can come to a conclusion. Oh, I said, well, I think I'm more ADHD, to be honest. And he said, well, you are showing signs of ADHD. And I thought, well, I know. If you know, you know. And when he said you're showing signs of ADHD, but we need to make sure because of medication and whatnot, I thought, well, hurry up and get it sorted because it'd just be a huge relief. And I'll tell you one thing that annoys me, Darren, more than anything, is several people have said this to me now.
Yeah.
Is do you want the ADHD assessment or autism assessment for a label? It's not about a label. It's about years of struggling through your childhood to adulthood, um, and finding uh, answers as to why you
Yeah.
have struggled all this time. I mean, when I was a child, I mean, I used to self harm. Um, I'm not saying it's you know that was just that was just me. I mean, it is quite common in a lot of things, but um, because I couldn't cope, and I luckily I grew out of that kind of thing when I was getting into sort of when I was 16, whatever. I grew out of it, but for some, they don't. You know, under that neurodivergent bubble, I have seen a lot of people who
Yeah.
self harm or have self harmed. Um, and it's nothing to be ashamed of at all. It's if you're struggling, and that is something where for me to cut myself, that um, it just gave me, it released the pressure that I was feeling at the time. Um, and like I said, I'm lucky that I grew out of it. You know, for others they don't, but I did. But so there's so many things in childhood that are not explained, that I don't have
Yeah.
answers for, that I need to have them answers to.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think you're just a problem child or you're just messed up. Well, no, because sometimes there's reasons as to why you behave the way that you do. And that's what the professionals are for.
No, absolutely. And it's hard to move on. It's hard to deal with things if you don't know. And that's what the journey
Exactly.
is. It's just trying to find the answers. And we are in I guess, a large group of people who are finding our way down the autism, ADHD, neuro diverse route,
Hmm.
to try and find the answers. And it it may not the answers may not be there. I've always said, that I don't care what the answers are. I just
Hmm.
need the answers. If it's because I've got a vitamin deficiency and I have to take
Yeah.
supplements and that'll do, oh,
Yeah.
brilliant, fantastic, love it. I don't care what the answers are.
Hmm.
I just need the answers. Um,
I mean, I don't know about you, Darren, but I used to get really bullied at school.
yeah,
I suffered loads of bullying at school because I was different. And in the end, I left because I couldn't cope with it anymore. Couldn't, didn't fit into that class or that class. Couldn't concentrate. Always looking out the window. Not there at all. My brain was not there at all. But getting bullied because of that is not acceptable. Just because someone is different, do not bully someone because of that. You know,
absolutely.
because you could end up having a child that is autistic, ADHD. Then how are you going to feel if someone starts bullying your child? But remember, you used to bully that person because they were different. So it's okay to be different. It really is.
It is. We are
Why should we
we
all
are
be the same anyway?
This is it. I mean, we are all different. We are
Mm.
all different in whatever different ways. Height, hair color, skin color, eye color,
Good
strength,
looks.
good look. Yeah, I absolutely bombed out on that one, I tell you. But we are all absolutely different.
Mm.
Um, so to bully someone who has, because of they're different, doesn't really make sense because you're different too.
No.
The bullier is
Yeah.
different as
Yeah.
well. So it makes no
Yeah.
sense whatsoever. But it happens, and it's
It's a power thing, Darren. It's a
yeah,
power thing
yeah.
to
I
pick on
got bullied.
someone who's vulnerable.
Yeah, I got bullied when I was at school, predominantly because of the way I looked. So I had darker skin than everybody else, and all through my
Mm.
schooling, was bullied. And as I got older, I got more physical. Um, and then I joined a gym,
Good
and I think
looking.
yeah, I was stunningly good looking, and people just couldn't cope with it.
There you
So
go. That's
yeah,
why they were jealous,
yeah.
Darren. Jealous.
If only they knew after I left school, it all turned around. But yeah, I joined I joined a gym because I wanted to get bigger, stronger, so I could fight back because I was, the I guess the classic 9.5 stone weakling as it used to be,
Mm,
and I just want to get bigger and stronger to hold my own. And I got bigger and stronger, and weirdly enough, the bullying stopped. It's weird how that
mm.
happens. So yeah, it's hard, but it shapes people's lives with the
But
bullying.
what's more bizarre is if you go. I mean, this happened to me. You go through bullying and whatnot. But when I went into my adulthood and had relationships, I was then in a narcissistic relationship. To me, it was kind of normal because I guess I was so used to the bullying and
Mm,
seeing my mum go through stuff. It seemed normal,
yeah,
but it's not. It's not. So being in abusive relationships, it's a lot of people would say, well, why did you stay? Well,
mm,
it's kind of learnt behavior becomes normality for some people. Oh, things going to get better, they never do. Um, so we go through all these things because they're normal to us
yeah,
until we get them answers later on to sort of clarify everything. We're not crazy, you know,
yeah,
just have um, these differences, that need to be sorted out.
yeah. I mean, they say, there's an influx of people being diagnosed late and all the rest. And well, it wasn't an official diagnosis in the UK until for an adult until 2008.
Mm,
So when we were at school, it wouldn't have been diagnosed. There would be no help.
no, no.
Um, and for a child in the UK, official diagnosis, I think it's 2001. So when it comes to being an official diagnosis recognized throughout, the UK, and I don't know about the rest of the world, but the UK, um, it's still sort of early days, so to speak.
Mm.
It was talked about beforehand, but an official diagnosis is sort of still not that long into it.
But the
And
waiting list, you can understand why there's such a long waiting list. I mean, the
yeah,
ASD assessment is 1 to 3 years, and the ADHD is 3 to 5. That is what I was told. Um, so I was lucky that I had the ASD assessment within a year. But for the ADHD, I know somebody whose child is waiting to have that, and they want them to do it online. So,
right.
how you're going to get this child to sit there in front of a screen is beyond me because they wanted me to do that for mine. And I said, no, I need to talk to someone face to face, the
Yeah.
same person, if possible. I need to see you like for real, not on a screen. Otherwise, it's not going to work for my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need
Yeah,
to have
great,
that.
great to have that option. Yeah, it's
Mm,
great to have that kind of like option. However, but when say we're talking about a child, a child with raging ADHD who
mm,
is not going to be looking at a screen
no.
that with a screen full of boredom, not computer game, not a program they like to watch or anything like that, just, someone
Well,
else
this
just chatting
child
with them.
won't.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
bouncing everywhere. So
It's
no,
so yeah,
it's
yeah, in person
yeah.
is good, and the lengths that they go to find out about yourself is massive. I mean, I've like a lot of people diagnosed with anxiety and depression
Mm,
for quite a while, and put on tablets for that, and that's after 5-10 minute chat with a GP.
mm,
You know, but that's taken as there you go. It's there in black and white now. So it's known you are depressed, you have anxiety, you're on medication. Great. But, it's with the ADHD, I with all the things I had to fill in and my family had to fill in all the questionnaires and all that.
yeah.
And I the one to one, well, not, it wasn't one to one, it's 2 to 1. I had two people doing my assessment at
Mm,
the same time, and it was 4 hours overall. And but still, there's people who don't believe, that, maybe you're not. I'm like, well, all that time and all that expertise,
mm.
I said yes.
It's
I'm going to
funny you
believe
say
them.
that, the 2 to 1, because I was supposed to have 2 people in my ASD assessment, and I only had 1. Um, so hopefully there'll be 2. But mine that one was 2.5 hours, and I felt it when I walked out of there. My brain
Yes.
was gonna explode. So the ADHD one, yeah, if that's gonna be 4 hours, my God,
It's,
just, yeah, my
it's
head was wrecked.
well, I've spent a long time listening to you talk, so it might actually be like sort of 10 hours to be. It's like I
Boom,
just
boom.
George, we have to close. We finished work. We have to go home. Please shut up.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But
You had a lot of
it's like I
questions for
said,
me, Darren.
I do. Yeah, well, yes, well, I do because I'm interested. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I had the autistic assessment first of all, and they said no. I thought, okay, fine. So I went down the ADHD. It was yes, but like I said, if it was a no for that, there will be still I'll be still looking for answers. I mean,
Mm,
if you when you have your ADHD assessment, they said kind of like no, or it's not conclusive for the ASD. If they say no to the ADHD and it's still like non-conclusive, what next? What would you do? What's
I will go back to my doctor
yeah,
and ask to have it again,
okay,
because I think, uh, because I've already been told that I'm showing signs of ADHD and I have these autistic traits. I don't see how it can come back with a no when you've already told me that I'm showing this and I'm showing that.
yeah,
So if it did come back with a no, then yeah, I would ask to have it done again, because
okay,
sometimes you can see someone and they're like, no, 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 no. And then you see somebody else and it's completely different, you know.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, with anything, it's if you've been given a diagnosis or not been given a diagnosis, it's perfectly acceptable to ask for a second
Mm,
opinion, just like
yeah.
anything else. Absolutely. But if that comes back inconclusive as well,
Well, I
well,
will
I'm
speak to my
pushing the boat
doctor.
out here a little bit, but yeah,
I will speak to my doctor and say, I'm not happy. Um, I need, I need to see, I need a second opinion on this.
yeah,
I'd like a second opinion, because all these things that have happened and were happening, there has to be an answer to
so.
them.
So yeah. So there's you still need the answers. You need whatever answer
Yeah,
it is,
exactly.
because there are
Everybody
things out
does.
there that can some of the things, some of the symptoms and signs can mimic and cross over to what is ADHD, what looks like
Mm,
ADHD. Memory loss, or not memory loss, but just bad memory basically, and forgetting things, losing things, being disorganized, stuff like
mm,
that. there are other disorders out there, sensory processing disorders and things like that. Is that something that would be a possible next step or anything like that, or would you cut the journey short with the ADHD assessments if it was inconclusive second time round?
Um, I would have to go and speak to my doctor and say, I would like this sort of looked at again,
Yeah.
because even if I do have sensory processing disorder, there's lots of other things that I need answers to.
So yeah,
Um, and I know it's not bipolar, because I do know people that have bipolar, and I know that it can be. I've known people being diagnosed with bipolar, and they've got ADHD. Um, but that's just only people that I know. I'm not saying everybody, just people that I've known for it to happen to. Um, or personality disorder, there's lots of things. There's lots of things. But I think um, I have spoken to these people, the people that I know who are bipolar, and they've said to me, George, you're nothing like me. You're not displaying those kind of symptoms that
yeah,
I have. And I spoke to them quite in depth about it. Um, so yeah, it could be a number of things, but I think uh, they're interested because it runs in my family anyway. I don't know whose fault it is. That it's all happened, but yeah. So if it come back inconclusive or a no, then I would have to ask for a second opinion,
yeah,
however long that may take.
yeah. I mean, we everyone deserves to have answers to the issues and struggles they have, be it mentally, physically, you know.
Mm,
And I used to wonder about a lot of things that are online about people's journeys and what they're saying about ADHD and things.
mm,
And at the beginning, I was thinking, no, that maybe you shouldn't say it like that because that doesn't sound, it doesn't coming over how I think it should be and everything.
mm,
And I don't think you should think you've got ADHD because of what you're saying you do and all this. And
mm,
I thought to myself, I didn't like that to begin with at the beginning. But the more I talked to people, the more I watched things, the more I learned about myself, the more I learned about ADHD and ASD, and looking about the waiting lists and things like that. I mean, the waiting lists are just horrifically long.
mm,
And what choice do people have but to self-diagnose? I
mm,
mean, no, seriously, you're struggling, and as a rule, I've always hated self-diagnosis. I've been, personal trainer and sports therapist and all that, so I'm dealing with injuries and all the rest. I hate people, doing the whole self-diagnosis, but when you've got a massive waiting list
mm.
and you are not coping, you've got to find a way to cope. You have to start looking at answers yourself. So I'm not surprised people are going down the self-diagnosis route, because
Well, they
people got
say
to
it's
cope.
valid. They say it's
Yeah,
valid.
you know,
Um,
if you're not getting that answer, if you're not getting that appointment, you can't just sit on your hands and just wait. You've got to try and be able to get on with your life. You've got to try and make sense of whatever's there. Maybe you get it right, maybe you get it wrong, but you've got to try. Absolutely.
well, I mean, I try and talk. I've spoken to several people with ADHD,
Yeah.
and not on Instagram or anything like that, but people that I know, and uh, they've known me a long, long time. And I said, well, I'm going for the ASD ADHD assessment. They said, well, I already know that you are, George. Why don't you? Do you know what I mean? And I think, well, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me that I was ADHD? And this guy had, he was diagnosed, I don't know, a long, long, long time ago. But he said, George, you're definitely ADHD. You are. You are. And this is coming from someone who has had it, and his children have it. And, you know, because he's known me for I don't know, 10 years or whatever, and he's seen my behavior and my erratic brain is just like, when I was poorly and stuff. And it's like, George, I'm pretty sure. But also, like
Yeah.
I said, because I've had medical people saying that I'm going down the correct route for me, um,
Or pushes you into that direction.
I'm sort of edging towards being ADHD more than anything else.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that I am diagnosed with it, because honestly, if you had my brain, when it doesn't slow down and it gets overwhelmed, and I do this and I do that, and I don't want to talk to people, and I like being on my own, and and it's just all chaotic sometimes. You know, it's I just really would like that diagnosis so that I know I'm not crazy, but the struggle that I have, and so many other people have while waiting,
Yeah.
you know, and for those that don't even know they've got it and that aren't even waiting for an assessment, I mean, their brains, I know people that are waiting for the assessment and their brains are like mushed. They really are. They don't even know who they are. They say, I
Yeah.
can't even, I don't know who I am. And I get that. I get that. It's really, really hard. Really hard. So, for anybody that is waiting for the assessment, I totally sympathize with you, because it's tough. It really is tough.
Yeah.
And there's so many
It's
other things that I could talk about, but they're quite personal, so I'd rather not.
yeah, no
But
worries. No problem at all.
yeah, but yeah, it's I mean, did you have anger issues?
I I there are things that do make me angry, but they're very specific things, and luckily they don't come around that often.
Mm,
Looking back in my life, I feel that the RSD aspect of my life is prolific.
mm,
And I keep things to myself. I get down. I don't like um, what do you call it? I don't like. Oh, now my words are going. I don't like it when there's an argument. I don't like that sort of situation. I don't confrontation. There you go. I don't like confrontation or anything like that at all. I'll back away. I feel bad about it and all that. That's me. So
mm,
I don't. My feelings are not really shown in anger. Generally, it's all just more depressive. Feel bad. I feel just horrible about everything, and
mm.
that's how it sort of manifests. Um, However, racism, that's
Yeah.
that's 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 what I got bullied for, and so that's a trigger for me. Any sort of racism, um, and uh, guys beating on girls.
Mm,
Okay, so that's sort of bit the domestic violence, whatever you want to call it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, that's a massive trigger for me, and I'm not saying
Family.
it's okay the other way
Mm,
around. I'm saying what is a trigger for me.
mm,
So those things, yeah. But generally speaking, no. I would just stoop into a big hole of depression and s- lack of self worth, kind of thing.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I mean, if I upset someone, and I have talked about this before, but in general, if I upset somebody and I know that I have said the wrong thing, I will go all out to try and fix that,
Yeah.
um, to the point of exhaustion probably, and um, because I feel bad. But eventually it has to stop somewhere. But
Yeah.
yeah, if I know I've upset someone, I really do um, feel the need to fix it because I hate it, hate
Yeah.
it. But also, if people are being, um, I mean, I've blocked quite a few people, Darren, on certain platforms because I can't tolerate their behaviour, and it's not good for my mental health. So it's a lot easier to block
Yeah.
and never feel bad for blocking someone because at the end of the day, if they're uh, making you feel like crap, basically, it's much easier to block those people and move on.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you were friends, whatever. If they're being intolerable, it doesn't matter what platform it is. But never feel bad for blocking someone if it's going to help your mental health.
And
So
absolutely. If
yeah,
they're not going to take the time to help you with your mental health, well, you need to do what you need to do to help
yeah,
yourself. You know, if that's blocking
exactly.
someone, not talking to someone, keeping distance,
Mm,
whatever it is, you know, if there's no one else going to look after you or whatever, then you need to look after yourself. So you're
yeah,
right. You
that's
okay?
all right. Someone went past the window.
Okay.
Delivery. Sorry, it's all happening today.
Would you believe it? An ADHD are not paying attention to
It's the
me.
distraction. I'm terrible. Honestly, I get distracted really easily. But I am very sensitive, very
Yeah,
sensitive. People wouldn't believe it because
yeah.
I can shut people off or block them or whatever. They might think I'm just being an arsehole, but actually,
No,
if
it's a
you're
coping
upsetting
mechanism.
me, um, then I'll just cut you off because I have to think about myself.
So yeah, it's a coping mechanism. You need to look after
Yeah,
yourself. And that's what it is. And
yeah,
a lot of ADHDs, you know, are oversensitive, so to speak. You know, with
mm,
RSD, it's awful. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
no,
The struggles that I have. That's one of the biggest things with my ADHD. It's one of the
mm,
biggest things I struggle with. And even now I know about it. And I've done a lot of research on it, and I've spoken to other people about it, and my wife as well. It
mm.
still sounds stupid when I explain how I'm feeling over
But it's
something
not.
that
But it's not.
it's
That
not.
is
It's
a
real.
condition.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is. It's very real. Absolutely, very, very. Even if it doesn't have a name for it, at the end of the
Mm.
day, it's still very real.
It's
It's still
there.
what I'm going through and other people going through. Um,
Mm.
but it's something that it can shake, not shake, shape even. It can shape your life. You know,
Mm.
are you going to put yourself out there, or are you going to become a hermit and stay away from people? Are you going to be
Mm.
really sociable, or are you going to be, so it can make a massive difference. It's made a massive difference in my life. But now I know why, because I've got the answers.
Mm. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to Pride, which I want to go. Th- Obviously, there's going to be a lot of people there, so I'm going to get myself some what you call them, buds, noise control,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
bud things, um, because I have to put something in place to be able to get through that. I mean, God knows how many people be there, but I am going with someone else who understands all about me. But I mean, but if someone upsets me, I feel like I'm going to die. That feeling inside is like, oh, the pain. It's like such an emotional wound. It
It is.
really
It
is.
is.
And I just think, Oh, and I could just crawl up it, get into bed and just crawl up and feel like I'm gonna die. It just gets so upset, so
Yeah.
upset. Yeah,
It's
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 so bizarre, the things
it's
that we
really
feel.
that's a really hard one to explain to people. I
Yeah.
mean, I was speaking to, my sister the other day, and we were talking about me and my wife. We've been together for what, 12 years, um, and we've never argued. We've never argued. And
Wow.
she literally is the perfect wife for me, not for just what I want, but also what I need as well. Absolutely
Mm,
hand in glove, perfect.
wow.
Um, but I do dread.
She's gonna love you for saying that, isn't she?
She's absolutely brilliant. Without even trying, before the diagnosis, she just accepted me for me. First person
That's
ever.
love, Darren.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It is. First person ever outside of my family. First person ever to just accept me for who I am, no questions. There you go. And but the reality of it, somewhere along our lives, we're going to have an argument somewhere for whatever reason,
Mm,
and I dread that moment because I know it's going to be a really small little argument over nothing, and it's going to feel like the end of our relationship. In my heart, it's
yeah.
going to feel like this is, I've hurt her too much and she doesn't
Yeah.
love me anymore. That's how it's going to feel, and it's going to be over.
Mm,
I've burnt the toast or something. You know what I mean? It's going to be really irrelevant,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's going to hit hard. So yeah,
Mm,
I do worry about that because I know somewhere along the line that's gonna come. But that was everybody else as well. People at work that I get on with, and if I just if someone has a bad day and something's said a different way or taken a different way, it's going to be, "Oh, I don't want to go to work anymore because I can't face them."
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's awful.
I've experienced all these things, Darren.
Yeah,
I really have. And I hope that I find somebody like that, like you have, because she sounds amazing.
she is. But to be fair, when I had a lot of bad relationships in regards to
Mm,
they've always wanted to change me. I was never good enough. I was
yeah.
always second best, da, 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 and all the rest.
Yeah.
But going through that at the same time, I realized exactly what I didn't want and what I didn't need,
Mm, yeah.
and what sort of
Yeah.
person I needed to be with and what their likes and dislikes would be. And this whole thing that I would never find. And
Mm.
I gave up and then I found love. Oh.
Well, you're very lucky, and I hope I do too. But like you say, it's got to be. um, they got to really understand you, and if you can't understand
Absolutely.
me, then you're not for me, are you? So, and I'm not for
Th-
you.
ab-
So
Absolutely.
that's.
You've got to like love you for you
Mm,
and don't let people try and change you
no.
from being who you are. If you
Mm,
like who you are or you can't help who you are or whatever it is, you shouldn't have to change. I
no.
mean, yes, we do things differently when we're in a relationship and get married and have kids and stuff like that. Think, and you have a job or things do just naturally change slightly, but that doesn't mean you have to
Mm,
change who you are,
no.
you
No.
know.
You're you.
Um,
You're unique, and
this is it.
you shouldn't have to change.
Yeah.
You know, the idea is that you accept each other
Yeah.
for who you are,
Yeah.
and if you can't, then that person is not for you.
Absolutely.
You're not for each other.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah. And I've only just learnt that actually, Darren, after several relationships. I think everything was my fault, bloody blaming myself for everything that went wrong, and I think, well, you just never understood me. You never understood
Yeah.
me. You didn't want to either. So,
Yeah.
you know, it is a case of finding that person that gets you.
Everyone
And
deserves to be
then,
loved, and everyone deserves to have
yeah,
the right person love them.
yeah, yeah. I just haven't found them yet, Darren. You know, I keep
It will
trying.
happen. It will
I
happen.
will keep trying.
You're very
Well,
lovable.
hurry up. Oh, thanks. I am, I mean, I'm not an affectionate person. Um, But I am when I'm in a relationship. It's quite bizarre. I'm not
Yeah.
affectionate to people. Like if you approach me and try and give me a cuddle, I'm not going to be happy about it. Um, because I have to be the one uh, to do that.
Yeah.
Um, but with a partner, I am. I'm very affectionate,
Mm.
just not to everybody else.
This is it. You
That's
let your guard
just
down to the person closest to you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and if I don't like them one day, then I don't get a cut. They don't get a cut all weekend.
Oh, love it.
Oh,
Love it. Right, George, another question. I've got a last question for you because we've gone over
yeah.
quite a bit, really. Just in a nutshell, um, what would the correct answers mean to you and your life? What the correct ones, whatever they may be, what would it mean to you?
I think because I've probably spent my whole life blaming myself for
Yeah,
everything that's gone wrong, um, to say, no, it wasn't, it was this that made you feel like that. Um, because we can punish ourselves for years and years thinking everything is our fault. And people can, and partners, whatever, can make you feel that it's your fault. So when you finally get a medical person s- to say, no, this is why this is, that is why that is, I think for me, it'd be such a huge weight that has been lifted off of me. All that self blame, everything that I have felt,
yeah,
I can finally sort of justify certain things and be like, stop blaming myself. Just stop blaming myself for everything. Because I'm quite sensitive, I do think that things are my fault a lot of the time, and they're not, but it's just my way of thinking. So to get these answers, um, I think I probably burst into tears because I finally had somebody say, "No,
yeah.
this is why you've been like this." And for me, that's all I want to hear, really, so that I can piece everything together finally and realize this is why this has always been this way. And now I can get on with my life, not doing this, not blaming myself for that, but because of the way that my brain works, and it's not my fault. It's not my fault.
That is correct. It
So,
is not your fault.
you know,
It's
and for anybody else who watches this, just remember that, if you're ADHD or whatever, it's not your fault. You're different. We're all different, but different is beautiful. So
it most certainly is.
don't don't ever feel bad for anything. Don't,
Yeah.
because we can too easily keep blaming ourselves for things that go wrong when actually they're probably not our fault anyway. But
Yeah. I mean, with us late diagnosed, we've had a life of being blamed.
yeah,
So we've been
exactly.
conditioned to feel that everything is our fault and we're
Yeah,
not
it's
good
normalised,
enough,
isn't it?
and things like that. Yeah, it's be it through work, relationships, schooling,
Mm,
some people, family as well, friends, whatever it is.
mm,
We are conditioned
yeah,
to feel
yeah.
the
Everything
blame.
is normalised,
Yeah,
and it's not normal. So to
yeah,
go through these experiences and blame ourselves,
yeah.
it's not normal. It's
I've
just how we've
I've
been programmed
Yeah,
that way.
yeah, absolutely. I know I've been very lucky compared to a lot of people. My family have been brilliant and always supportive and always made me feel that they are proud of me, whatever I did,
Mm.
however many jobs I've had. you know, there are
Yeah.
lots.
I was,
You know,
I was in that jobs all the
you know.
time.
So they've always made me feel proud. But outside of the family, that's where the blame, the
Mm.
feeling of self-worth was just diminished over the years completely. So
Well,
having those
Darren,
answers could really
I would just like to say before I go, uh, one, after getting to know you after a few months, because we've never met, um, and I
don't
enjoy
make me
doing the
cry.
podcast. I enjoy doing the Perky Pod show with you. Just a little plug there.
Just
um, that Darren is one of the nicest guys that I've got to know on Instagram, and I totally love doing the podcast with you. I absolutely get you. I completely understand where you're coming from. You understand where I'm coming from, and I think that's why it works. Um, and please, please, please get in touch with Darren if you are ADHD, and jump on his podcast. He's a lovely guy, and yeah, you'll love it. You'll love it. He's a sweetheart. And thank you so much for having me. Would you like me to pass you a tissue?
I'm gonna climb into bed in a minute and have a good old cry.
You're lovely, Darren. So
Oh,
yes,
bless your heart.
please get in touch with Darren if you would like to join his podcast. But don't forget our Perky podcast too. But thank you very much for having me. I've enjoyed
Oh,
it, and
bless you. It's been great having you on. It's a long time in the making. Should have happened earlier, but hey, it's happened now, which is great.
no, my technical stuff wasn't in place, Darren,
Well, yeah, okay,
but it
there
is
is that.
now.
I didn't want to
I mean,
say it,
the first 12 videos on the YouTube aren't great, but the last two are. So,
but
but I got there in the end. I'm not a tech person, so I messed it all up. But now I finally sorted it. So yes,
brilliant.
but yes, thanks again for having me, Darren, and I will
Thanks for
catch
coming on.
you in a few days.
No, absolutely. Thank you everyone for listening. This has been a very tearful Me and HD podcast. Have a lovely day. Cheers,
Get in
guys.
touch. Get in touch. Get in touch with Darren. Dazzle.
Bye.
Dazzling Darren. Right. See you later.
Ta-da.
Yeah.